Greetings. My name is Christina. I'm editor of Small Business Economics and Entrepreneurship Journal, and assistant professor in TBS in Toulouse in southwest of France. I have the great honor today to interview David Audretsch, Ameritech Chair of Economic Development at the Indiana University in Bloomington and Editor-in-Chief of Small Business Economics. And also Professor Christina Guenther, Chair of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises at the WHU, Otto Beisheim School of Management in Lederer in Germany, and incoming Editor-in-Chief of Small Business Economics. They are going to give us more insights of their article published in June 2021, entitled Publishing in Small Business Economics and Entrepreneurship Journal, which also co-authored with Adam Lederer, managing editor of Small Business Economics. Starting my first question, could you please tell us more about your article? What is your article about and why it is important now?
Oh, thanks very much, Christina, and nice to see you, Christina. Yeah, the article is about what we look for in trying to make the decision between which papers to pursue for publication and to develop for publication, and which ones we think are less promising. And, why is it relevant now? I mean, I think it's been relevant for a long time, but more and more we get inquiries. We hear the dismay of authors either involved or would like to be involved with our journal, but just in the community of people in entrepreneurship who get discouraged or frustrated because their submissions are not pursued by the journals. And, to focus on the now part, we know with globalization, there's and just the explosion of interest in the field of entrepreneurship. There's more and more participants, more and more interested people who want to make contributions to the field of entrepreneurship and small business economics. So there's much more interest in what makes the difference in putting an article together. What makes one article seem interesting to the journal and another article not so interesting? Thanks, Christina.
Thank you very much for this insight. And can you give us probably some examples or papers that may fit the aim and the scope of small business economics?
Well, it would be papers that focus on any aspect of entrepreneurship and small business economics. So I think about your own work on entrepreneurial ecosystems. Those, in terms of meeting the aims and scope, that meets the aims and scope. We get this question a lot. Does my paper fit the scope of the journal? And I would say if it touches even tangentially or has relevance to small business and entrepreneurship, then it falls within the scope. I'll give you a great example. Now, this is years ago. I think it was in the very first issue of the journal in 1989. So things have changed since then. But we published an article on the turbulence or turnover of the Fortune 500 largest companies. And what this article did by Bruce Kirchhoff, it showed that the turbulence had been increasing over time. The turnover, that is the Fortune 500, tended to come and go faster and faster over time. And this had such an impact that it was written up in The Economist. So we were very happy about that. But the interesting thing was, Zoltan and I were always very concerned because the article doesn't analyze small business or entrepreneurship. It analyzes actually the opposite. But the point is, the article was written in a way that it had implications for small business and was trying to explain why is small business and entrepreneurship become more important. A lot of people, a lot of prospective authors think that there's something there's a preference for one topic over another in this great, I would say, tent or space. I think that the preference is for the topics that are going to have an impact. How do we know which topics? I don't even think it's the topic so much. It's the way that the paper is crafted to tell us something so that we think differently about the field after we read the paper than before we read the paper.
Thank you very much. We also have a very important question that come a lot in the discussions, is about how do you recognize an original and relevant article for small business economics?
Yeah, thanks, Christina, for your nice introduction. And let me try to give you the bottom line of how we recognize these articles. So for me, promising articles for our journal have three major features. So the first one is that the research question or the finding is of interest to entrepreneurship scholars. And that is not necessarily to everyone in the community, but at least to a certain group, a subset, or a certain stream. And in addition, we really appreciate papers that have some economic or societal relevance and inform researchers, but of course also practitioners and policymakers. So basically, the examples that David were giving exactly point to that direction. The second point that that I consider relevant for successful articles with our journal is that the articles recognize and appreciate prior research, and they clearly state how their study enhances our understanding of entrepreneurship, whatever that means, right? But it has to enhance our understanding. So how does the study contribute in terms, for example, of extending, challenging, replicating, or nuancing prior findings? All of this is relevant and interesting to us. And the third point, in the case of empirical papers, which we tend to get a lot, the empirical approach is designed to serve answering the research question, and it's rigorous and follows state-of-the-art methods. And these studies can be quantitative, qualitative, different levels of analysis, so individual, firm, macro, different geographical levels, all that is very fine with us. But it has to cater to serve the research question, which per se is relevant. So oftentimes we figure out that a methodology or a data set as such is not a contribution yet. It has to enhance our understanding in the context of a certain and relevant research question.
Thank you very much. Can you tell us more or give us some examples about what are the topics or research communities and discussions with which Small Business Economics Journal discusses?
Absolutely. So as David was already giving some examples, so we're really interested, of course, in the core themes of entrepreneurship, so the entrepreneurial process, new venture creation, self-employment, family firms, small business or medium-sized enterprises, innovative startups, and entrepreneurial finance, just to name a few. And the journal likewise invites papers from related topics and other communities. And in this case, if it comes from related communities, what we figured out is that successful papers from these related communities really managed to relate their approach or their findings or their perspective to the broader discussion within the entrepreneurship literature, right? So it's fantastic to bring new knowledge into our community, but please make sure that you add to a discussion within the broader scope of entrepreneurship. And if you manage that, that's wonderfully welcome.
Any last statement or advice you want probably to leave with our fellows or readers?
Oh, thanks, Christiana and Christiana. We hope that you'll be interested and as passionate about this research field as Christiana and I are. We think it's a very exciting field. It's dynamic, it's open. As Christiana Günther described, it's very open to new ideas that have not been in the journal or in the field previously. And we enjoy the community. We enjoy, I know Christina and Christina both enjoy the people in the community, the spirit of the community very much. So we hope that you'll join and be part of this. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for sharing with us these insights. And the article can be downloaded in open access from the website of Small Business Economics. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.